I don't know. I don't know if you're following this, but we opened up the first hour talking about this. The arrest of the former CIA agent who retired. He's a Chinese national. He became a naturalized citizen here. There are concerns. He's been hit with a complaint of improperly handling classified information. There seems to be something much deeper to this story, Gordon. And there seems to be some concern that he was not only just mishandling it, that he might have been disseminating it, and it might have had some bad repercussions. I'd love your thoughts on this story because it is a mystery and it is intriguing and it points to real dangers that go on in the world right now.
Yes, I mean, there was possibly the loss of the CIA network in China with the execution of people working for the United States. You know, we spy on China, they spy on us, but they're much better at it. I mean, they're very extensive. You know, we didn't actually have extensive operations in China, in large part because that's not only a hard target, but also because of political decisions made in previous administrations, both Republican and Democrat, not to go hard after the Chinese. So this is really our fault. And one other thing about this, which really disturbs me, because my father came from China, and I look at this and I think that Chinese Americans have an obligation to speak out against Chinese Americans working for China. There have been too many of these instances, and I'm really concerned that as a group we will be tarred and fairly tarred by other Americans for being more loyal to a hostile power than to the United States. There are just too many Chinese Americans who express too much love and admiration for Beijing. And so at this point, for the rest of us, we need to speak out against this.
Good point, Gordon. In the big game, the eternal game of spy versus spy, though, what could be more serious than our own network of people, some of whom being arrested, maybe executed as a result of these kinds of leaks, a serious mole hunt going on in the CIA? Am I right to think this is some pretty serious stuff here?
Well, yeah, it's extremely serious because, you know, it's not just spy versus spy. You know, we have all of these Confucius Institutes in universities. We've got Confucius classrooms in secondary schools. We have a whole array of supposedly Chinese media in the United States. Many of those people are intelligence operatives. Beijing interviews many of the Chinese returning from the United States to gain information. This is perhaps the most extensive intelligence gathering operation in the world. We have deliberately ignored it. And there are going to be two presidents, one named George W. Bush and the other Barack Obama, who I think should be marked down for really using China's help. And so therefore, there were political blinders. And so this is a disease across the American political spectrum.
Yeah. Do you think that we maybe learned a lesson from that? It sounds like you think we have.
I think we're learning a lesson, but indeed, I actually think that the Trump administration needs to do a lot more. This is, I think, one of our highest national priorities to protect ourselves from Beijing. And we see the Trump administration starting down that road, but nonetheless, it seems to be much too kind to the Chinese. So, for instance, when President Trump went after the Russians for sanctions busting, he praised the Chinese, even though there is evidence that China is still engaged in very dangerous activities, some of them violations of U.S. law. And so, therefore, we really need to go after Beijing hard to teach the Chinese a lesson that they cannot engage in these activities, undermining the safety and security of 320 million Americans. Yeah.